do a class on tricky irregular verbs. It is actually something that native speakers find difficult also. And what I mean is there are many verbs, and I'm including myself here, certainly. There are quite a few verbs, and I'm going to put them in bold, actually I already have, that are down below, that I find tricky and that I often get wrong, or my instinct leads me to the wrong answer. And I think that this is the case for everybody. Remember that verbs change over time, and so sometimes two forms are possible, and we'll see that as well. But just looking at the 180, I think there are irregular verbs, perhaps more. There's probably more than 200, I'm not sure. Here's a list that I found online, and I'm going to firstly direct your attention to a few basic patterns. Sorry, I've got a new kitten in the room, and I'm just making sure he's okay. Okay, so firstly, one very common pattern, but not the most common, is when all three forms are the same. And you've got bet, bet, bet. Yeah, I've put these in lime green. Bet, 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 broadcast, 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 or cast, 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 burst, 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 come. Oh, sorry, nope, not that one. Cost, 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 cut, cut, cut. Now, what you'll notice is these are all one-syllable words, firstly. They're one-syllable words, and they end in a T. Yeah, and so that's something that I really want you to notice. Okay, broadcast is two-syllable, but cast is one syllable. And cast goes cast, cast, cast. Yeah, he cast a stone yesterday, and he has cast a stone. So they're one-syllable words, and they end in a T, and we'll see some more. This is a very regular pattern here we're dealing with. So if we go down, we've got hit, 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 hurt, 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 one syllable, ends in a T. Put, 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 one syllable, ends in a T. Set, 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 one syllable, ends in a T. Okay, here's a different one. Shed, 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 like shed blood. Yeah, so he shed a lot of blood yesterday, and he has shed a lot of blood. That one's quite rare. Although you do see it nowadays with virus shedding, although I'm not really sure what virus shedding is. Anyway, we've also got shut, 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 which follows our one syllable, ends in a T. And then we've got spread, 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 which is one syllable, ends in a D. So that's something to remember. The only two other ones are shed, 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 and spread, 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 and they're one syllable and end in a D. So I hope that's all clear. So that's one pattern that you often see. Let me just quickly grab I'm going to get my kitten in a second because he's trying to get outside, and I want to keep him in here until I've finished. I like to keep an eye on him. He's still very young. So the second pattern, which is all in bright yellow here, and we won't talk about the top two for the moment, just the second pattern is where the past simple form and the past participle are the same. So bend, bent, bent, bind, bound, bound, bleed, bled, bled, breed, bred, bred, bring, brought, brought, build, built, built. Now, I do usually use these T versions if they are available. Burn, burnt, burnt, learn, learnt, learnt, dream, dreamt, dreamt. Personally, I use them. They're the older forms, and I still use those, but the other ones are acceptable with learn and dream, and the one we're doing here, which is, where's it, burned. You do see the other forms as well. So this is the second pattern I want you to be aware of. Yeah, buy, bought, bought, catch, caught, caught. Now this one is one that might catch me out, so I'm going to put it in bold. Cling, clung, clung. I think a lot of natives would perhaps think here that it's a bit like drink, drank, drunk, swim, swam, swum, cling, clang, clung, but it's not. It's cling, clung, clung. And the other ones, which are tricky for me, are, I'm going to quickly shoot down to them, the ones in bold down here. These are tricky for me. I want to say spin, span, spun, but it's spin, spun, spun. I have seen span, though, so it does exist. I've even found it in dictionaries. But generally speaking, people tend to use spin, spun, spun. Same with sting, stung, stung. I want to say sting, stang, stung, but sting, stung, stung is more common. And the same with swing, swung, swung. I want to say swing, swang, swung. So I'm putting those ones in bold as ones that I find really quite tricky. And the past form, I actually want to use an a instead of an a. I'm sorry, I can hear my kitten in the back. You can see him there having a wonderful time on my messy sofa. So that's the second pattern where the past simple form and the past participle are the same. The third pattern, which has no colour on here, is when you have three different forms: arise, arose, arisen, awake, awoke, awoken, be, was, were, been, bear, bore, born. Bore is rare, I must admit, although you do see it sometimes. Begin, began, begun. Yeah, bite, bit, bitten, hide, hid, hidden. It's best to learn them in groups because a lot of them have similar sounds. Blow, blew, blown, fly, flew, flown. Yeah, break, broke, broken, speak, spoke, spoken. So do you learn them in groups? Choose, chose, chosen. And then you'll find these considerably less difficult. But do be aware that natives will very often think, is it swang or is it swung? Or I certainly will. And so if you're having problems with irregular past forms, you're not the only one. Another tricky one is lay, mainly because it's similar to the verb to lay something on the table. So I always get these muddled up, I've got to be honest. So lie, when you lie in a position, is lie, lay, lane. And we can see that one where it should be on here somewhere. Lie, here it is, lie, lay, lane. And that's when you're in a lying down position. But you've also got place something. So lay something on the table, or then it's lay, laid, laid. And then you've also got not tell the truth, and that's regular, basically, lie, lied, lied. Another one to bear in mind is light. I always say lit here. He lit a cigarette and not he lighted a cigarette. It sounds wrong to me. Okay. Now, I want to show you a quick exercise. My cat's going a little bit crazy now. I'm going to have to take him out in the garden for a play. But one more thing. Do remember become, became, become, because that's strange. It goes back to the original present simple form in past participle. And the same with come, came, come, and the same with run, ran, run. Okay, so those I want you to remember as exceptions. And also beat, beat, beaten is a little bit of an exception as well. So bear those in mind. Now, what we're going to do is quickly look at a different exercise now. We're gonna, if anyone wants notifications, you need to press the notification bell on YouTube. Yeah, I don't bother trying to tell you that every single class because I think you don't want to hear me go subscribe and press the notifications button. So let's stop sharing screen and then share a different screen, a window, a Chrome tab, and it's this one. And we'll probably have to go a little bit closer because it's not that easy for you guys to see. There we go. Now here we just got some examples of some. So a problem arose, a problem had arisen, they beat the odds, they had beaten the odds. Yeah, so some good exercise, well, some good sentences on this one. But what I liked is in the last few they show you some other forms that you will hear. Now here's one, for example. She forgot to call back. Many natives say she had forgot to call back. It's wrong though, guys. It is wrong. Don't use it in academic English. I don't like it. The swimmer quickly dove into the pool. You do hear people saying it, but dived is the correct version in my opinion. Yeah, I haven't seen, what is it? Dived? Yeah, I have dived, because it's definitely I have dived and not I have dove or I have doven or anything like that. So personally, I prefer dived, dived, dived. It's regular in my opinion. Okay, gotten in American English, but got in UK English. That's important. Lit for me is always correct here. I do prefer the old forms. And I must admit, I don't like had proved. I prefer had proven, although I do hear, I think it's proved, proved, proven. But you will hear a lot of people say had proved. I've heard it a lot on TV. Okay, sink, sank, sunk. So the boat sank or the boat had sunk. But yeah, you will hear people saying the boat sunk sometimes and making a mistake there. But sank is correct here. So she showed him the door, or she had shown him the door, or had showed. You do see that often. It is accepted now. Personally, I prefer had shown. Shone, shine, shone, shone. So the moon medallion shined. Okay, sometimes you'll see shined, but shone I prefer. And had shone. Personally, I prefer to had shined. Okay, the Americans often say sneak, snuck, snuck. But in Britain, we usually use sneak, sneaked, sneaked. So snuck does sound quite American to me, but I recognize it. Yes, it's very often used. He snuck out the window. So sneak, snuck, snuck they use, but we use sneak, sneak, sneaked. So the tiger sprang noiselessly. I prefer spring, sprang, sprung. I think that's on the list of spring, sprang, sprung. Let's quickly check. Spring, sprang, sprung. Okay, it's not on my list, but sometimes you'll hear spring, sprung, sprung. So it's one of those ones that's in the middle. And this is why I find it so hard with those ones I put in bold. Cling, clang, clung, spring, sprang, sprung. And the other ones, there were a couple more. Spin, span, spun, or spin, spun, spun. Spin, spun, spun, sting, stung, stung. They're the ones that I see in the dictionary. So the tiger sprung noiselessly is perhaps more correct here, but you'll hear both. That's the truth. The car's interior stank or stunk. So you hear stink, stunk, stunk, but you hear stink, stank, stunk. You hear both. Here it's down as stink, stank, stunk on my list, but you do hear both. And this is why it's tricky with all of these ones that are ink, ank, unk. Yeah, like drink, drank, drunk, stink, stank, stunk. Sometimes you'll hear them just as stink, stunk, stunk, and sometimes as stink, stank, stunk. Okay, waked, as far as I'm concerned, is never true, never correct. It sounds awful to me, but some kid, I'm not sure who. And weave, wove, woven is, in my opinion, is better than weave, weaved. So again, that's I'm just trying to tell you what I would use here, because I realize there are a lot of tricky ones. But I will put the list, what I mean is I will put this list here, the one which is right here. I will put this list on my website, and I think I might write a quick exercise just based on that list. That's the list which I recognize as the correct in my opinion. But you will see that the US, they use different forms like gotten than the UK. And so this is perhaps why there is such a lot of debate. Anyway, we're going to stop there for today on irregular verbs, but I will put up some exercises on my website tomorrow or the day after. I'm going to take my little kitten out now to have a little play, because he's playing with the he's playing with my trousers. You can see him playing with those trousers there. Where's he gone? He's lying down now. Anyway, I will see you all tomorrow morning. If you want notifications for these classes, you use the notifications bell. And if you, that's perhaps the easiest way to know if I'm doing a class. But maybe in future, I'll try and do it regularly at a certain time. It's just that every day I'm available at different times. Okay, so thanks everybody for watching. Hope to see you all